version 11 in 2010. Alright, now I would like to discuss a few of the best practice ideas that we came up with doing our work with HP functional testing and while researching for this project. The first and most important one that we like to push on you is to remember to use the data-driven aspect of HP functional testing to its fullest advantage. This can save you a tremendous amount of time when writing your tests. It allows you to write test templates that you can then plug in dynamic data to. By doing this, you prevent yourself from having to go and create a static test for every parameter. So what I would like to do now is give you a visual demonstration of what I mean by using HP functional testing's data-driven features. What we'll do is start with a new test using the same test application that we've been using in the previous demos, the MVC Music Store. And what we'll do is go to an album, and we're just going to create a checkpoint on the price. Okay, and then we're done with that. Now we can see that this test will go to that page and then check that price element. So what happens if the price of that album changes? We'd have to go in here and manually update the test. Or what if we wanted to test other elements? We'd have to go and duplicate this. What we would like to be able to do is to parameterize this checkpoint. And we can do that by using a parameter from the data table. So we'll name this price column. And you can see that it's actually taken the existing checkpoint and put a value in there for us. So now you can see in the expert mode code excuse me. In the data table, you can see that it's populated the existing value in there. So if we were to run this test, it should pass, because we know for a fact that it was $8.99 last time we checked. And sure enough, we can see that it passed. And when it read our data table, it saw that we were looking for this $8.99 value. So just to show, to prove to you that it is in fact data driven, let's go ahead and change this price in the table to something like $8.89. Now you can imagine if you were getting a list of prices from, say, a database, you can just cut and paste these into your test, and you wouldn't have to go through and manually edit every single test. So now we'll go ahead and run this. And we can see that, as expected, it failed. And indeed, it was looking for that data-driven value of $8.89. Another best practice is to make sure and keep your tests atomic and isolated. The best tests are those with a low level of complexity. Now, because of how easy HP functional testing makes it to build complex tests, it can often be difficult to pull in the reins and end a test while it is still atomic and isolated. While this might not be too detrimental for a very small project, it can make the job of narrowing down problem areas a nightmare for larger projects. A good rule of thumb that we've come across is to keep an eye on the number of assertions, or in HP functional testing terminology, the number of checkpoints. If you start to get more than a couple, be wary and make sure they are all related to testing the same function. If you find that they aren't, you're going to need to split this test into multiple smaller tests. The last best practice I'd like to mention is to take advantage of reusable actions as much as possible. HP functional testing has two types of actions: regular actions and reusable actions. Reusable actions can be called by any other type of action, preventing you from having to repeatedly recreate the same actions over and over again. We recommend that as you are writing your tests, be on the alert for actions you are creating that are generic enough that they can be reused. Also, after you have written a test, review it, looking for areas where you are duplicating actions. Refactor them to use one reusable action. Now, for projects with multiple testers, it is imperative that you share your reusable actions. In fact, we recommend keeping a library of reusable actions. So that does it for this brief introduction to HP functional testing. Again, my name is James Wilson, and on behalf of David Randolph and Matthew Klickgard, the Iterative Reductionists would like to thank you for viewing this presentation.